Welcome back to another Creative Finance Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Jen.
I'm Joe.
And today we're going to go over the real estate investing rules that you must know in order to succeed in 2025 and the top 3 mistakes that some investors are making, and we're going to make sure that you don't.
Bam. Well, you know what? The market is definitely in a funny spot right now in 2025. We're living in Florida and you see everywhere, like the market's crashing in Florida. Well, and I don't know if that's the case, but markets crash slowly. So nobody knows until it's kind of already over. But there's some indicators out there that's kind of proving that, especially places like Texas, Louisiana, Florida, where we live. And what I mean by that, well, inventory is just piling up. I look at how many people are moving to Florida. I'm looking at all the inventory. Houses are getting discounts now. They used to go for way over asking. Now they're not selling. And so the thing is this, when you hear the market is crashing and you see the people freaking out, well, in some places that is. Well, in other places like Rochester, New York, where we're from, is actually rated number 1 in the country right now. And your average time on market in Rochester is 13 days. In Florida, it's almost 80 something days in where we live, which is a big...
That's the average. So, and oftentimes we're seeing like houses that are sitting almost a year in some cases.
Yeah. Or they were delisted because it didn't sell and it got put back on the market.
Right.
Right. And stuff like Rochester.
So is that
right
a good
now,
indicator where on Zillow where you'll see like it's been listed, they drop the price, they remove it. Maybe they throw up there like, let's try renting it. It still doesn't happen. And they relist it again.
Yeah.
Like that is definitely an indicator of like
motivated seller.
Motivated seller, but the market is like not what?
Yeah, it's not. So when you're talking about the market like shifting in 2025, is the market crashing? Well, in some places it kind of looks like that. In other places it's not.
Right.
So 2025, know your market, know where you're buying, know what's happening in your market. There's many places where they're thriving still. Rochester, I did a thing today I was showing our team, and when I look at a square on the map, and I don't change the size of that, but I hover it over like the Tampa area, and just not land, not nothing else, just single family homes currently for sale. There was 18,000 available. I moved that same square map over Rochester, where we're from, and there's 471 for sale. 18,000 versus 400. So what does that mean? There's a lack of inventory in places like Rochester, and there's an abundance of inventory places like Tampa. So where prices are going to get softer, there's going to be opportunities in both. But if I'm going to do a fix and flip, for an example, and I buy it, I close on it, it takes me 3 months worth of selling it, and then I put it on the market, I would much rather do that in a place like Rochester where there's not a lot of competition, not a lot of inventory. And when I sell it, I'm planning on it selling pretty quickly, and values are still going up there.
And it's interesting because when you say competition, you're referring to like all the houses being for sale.
Yeah.
Versus like some people might be like, well, gee, if Rochester's that red hot, like I probably shouldn't even try to invest in that area.
Well, I mean, you know what? Here's what I thought. My thought process is hot markets mean the minute you get a great deal under contract, like we have buyers fighting over our deals. Yeah. I mean, we did 7 deals this month and 4 of them were in Rochester, and we do it virtually. So that means that there's still an abundance of deals, and my CRM right now is full of these Rochester folks who want to sell their home. So it's not the fact that there are not opportunities there. I think there's an abundance of opportunities there. But then also too, just remember, if I'm going to do a fix and flip, I would much rather do it there than in a market where it's going down, where there's inventory everywhere and nothing's selling. So because I see a lot of our investor friends, I see some of the posts they're sharing, and I mean, they're getting into these fix and flips and they're going way over budget. They put it on the market. It's not selling. They got to pay back the hard money lender or whoever. It's just...
So yeah, let's get into that. Let's talk about those mistakes that we don't want other people to make.
Yeah. So the big thing I like to make sure is you're not using your own credit to buy properties. I'm a big fan of buying with owner financing, or if I'm buying with a wrap mortgage or subject to where the loan stays in the seller's name, but I don't want to pay some high interest rate. I don't need to use my credit to buy properties. So if I'm looking to buy rental properties, and that's our specialty, I know we're going to look at fix and flips and things like that, but my favorite buying these creative deals where I'm not using banks, no credit, no nothing like that, not paying 7 and 8% interest, but still locking up deals at 2 and 3%. And I think in the markets, even if it's going up or down, if I'm buying cash flowing assets that are cash flowing at great terms, especially for long terms, if the market goes up or down, I'm not worried. But what I want to make sure that it does is cash flow.
Yeah.
Because so many people, and I find a lot of myself too, that just don't cash flow. They're negative cash flow. Well, if that deal doesn't pay us every single month, a check, profit, I don't want to do the deal. I'm not interested in buying real estate just to lose money every month. No way. So for me, these are the things I'm looking at. Like, don't use your credit to buy real estate, especially in 2025 when rates were high. If you were going to use your credit, which I don't like to do, but if rates were 2 and 3, okay, maybe there's some validity to that, but not at 7 and 8%. It just doesn't work. So using your credit, be careful where you're going to do your fix and flips.
Location.
Rule number 1, right, of real estate is you got to know the location, know what's going on in that market. Are we feeling like markets are getting softer, or is it still pumping? Like, we've got our fix and flip that's just almost finished. I guess we'll call Kevin after the podcast, see how the furnace went. But after that's installed, it's going in the market. And we're going to price
like a week out, he said.
Okay. It's always a week out. Even either way, once it finally gets to market, it's going to hit, and I think we're going to price it nice. They did a great job, so it looks really great. New roof, kitchen, bathrooms. I mean, everything's done. So once that hits the market, I'm anticipating a frenzy going on in that property. And one of my favorite types of properties that I feel like even when a recession happens, even when markets are crashing, there's what I always think is like that bulletproof property. What's the one that like drops the least? To me, it's always whatever the median house range is for that area. I want to be slightly under that, and I want to be in the best school districts, because parents want kids in great school districts, right? It keeps values strong there. And not even anything high end in that area. If the median house range in wherever your town is like 350,000, well, for me, if I could have a property that I own with seller financing at 300, 275, and it's in a really red hot school district, even if properties go down, that's probably one of the least likely that it will. The high end stuff will, maybe first. So that's what I kind of focus on. So these are the things, like in this shifting market, what are you doing to adapt, right? And I feel like so many folks, you either adapt or you just keep trying to do the same thing and figure out like, well, things changed. And if you don't kind of switch your business accordingly, it could lead to a lot of frustration, a lot of just like...
Yeah, because you're seeing a lot of Florida sellers that are still asking like a lot for their property. They're getting extra frustrated, but they are not any more motivated to like lower their price. You spoke to a lady, you said she was, it's her retirement. So to her, like she can't go too much more down because like she's like banking on that. And so like it's kind of it's becoming more and more of a situation I feel like in Florida.
Well, and I feel like too, these Florida sellers haven't really truly understand what's happening yet. Maybe they're just not paying any attention. Maybe they're just putting their head in the sand and hoping their situation's different. But I will tell you, the only thing that seems to be selling, if you're going to get a good price for it, is something that's absolutely beautiful. When they're dated and need a bunch of work, and these Florida sellers think, well, you know, the kitchen's built in 1994, it still looks good to me. Well, if it's not off a TV, and I'm not picking on 1994.
No, I know, but they're emotionally attached and they don't see it. Like for us, like we eat, sleep, breathe it. So we can tell like, well, yeah, if it's a new build, like this is what you're getting versus a 1980s grandma kitchen down here in Florida.
Yeah, they just don't sell as much. So like when we talked, and I know the seller you're mentioning, she was like, she bought this as a rental a long time ago, back when real estate was cheap.
And then you got to take that into consideration too. Like if it's been a rental, like, you know, there's wear and tear. So, you know, it's just...
Yeah, a little extra on that.
So I just feel, and that's just one of many examples, you know, so in the Florida market, particularly as we're watching it super closely, like we're just being super cautious as far as like, and like you said, underwriting deals, if it's not cash flowing, we're not taking it. We're not going to try to do anything really with it unless we know someone who wants to move into it.
Well, that's kind of the point too. How many deals have we looked at where, you know, it's pretty close to breaking even the payment, and it's a skinny deal, and I'm like, because you know what happens is the taxes could increase, your insurance can increase, and what you thought, well, maybe it's not that bad of a deal because I'm only cash flowing like $100 a month. That $100 could get taken away real quick, and you could be, and I know too many people who are buying properties just to lose money every month. So my big 3 things of don't do in 2025, don't buy properties that don't cash flow. know your market where you're doing deals, which are extremely important. And you don't need your credit to buy properties. So if you're paying 7% interest or 8% interest at your lender, coming up with these huge down payments just to lose money and not cash flow, don't do that. You don't need to. There's more than enough deals out there. So a fun fact that I learned from one of our masterminds was 40% of all the houses in the country are owned outright. Mm-hmm. That's easy to buy those with seller financing. There's no bank involved. I just got to make payments to the seller directly.
And the one thing I always loved too when we learned about this was like the worst thing that could happen is you give the house back to the seller.
Mm-hmm. That's the
worst thing that happens. And when you buy properties this way, and just to know like that is like the last resort if needed, but like that's okay. Like it's not the end of the world if that happens. We've done it.
Right. Well, and the point of it is, when you go to a bank mm-hmm. and you come up with a big down payment, and then all of a sudden you own this property and for some reason something's going bad on it, like you don't have any of these choices.
No, you're locked in and your name's on the line, now your credit, and what happened in 2008, we take it seriously. We were just getting into our investing. I was just meeting you and getting into investing. I know you did your deal years ago, but to hear what other real big investors lost and went through and learned, and I feel like it shouldn't be taken lightly because it could happen to you.
Well, yeah, and when you start personally guaranteeing debt,
yeah.
One of my coaches, he got lawsuits for tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars, and he still has some of those outstanding lawsuits, still open lawsuits from 2008. Guys, this is 2025. If you think about it, there's been pending litigation for 17 years for tens of millions of dollars. Do you want to talk about stress? So like when we talk about these things, if you've just started investing in the last few years, welcome to the club. But you want to learn from people. And this is what I always do, is like learn from the old school people who've been through many cycles, up and down, mm-hmm. up and down, many of those. Right. And the advice and the wisdom that they've experienced through these, to me, was priceless, because if I can learn from other people's mistakes and I don't have to make those mistakes myself, what a valuable lesson to know.
So don't go burn out there, okay?
Yeah, well, and that's a whole other episode. Don't be burned. And I dropped that in a Facebook group. I'm like, hey guys, like, is anybody finding deals now that you're being able to buy in Burr? And I'm listening to these guys and they're like, well, yeah, but I'm leaving money in the deal, but it's working. I'm like, so what does that mean? When you leave money in the deal, you either bought the house too high, you put too much renovations in it, or it didn't appraise for as high as you did, which means that, right? And so when you go to refinance and pull all your money back out, you can't even pull all your money back out of it. You overspent. So even if you think you're burning, you're not doing it right if you're overspending, leaving money in the deal. And then and they're also not cash flowing.
Right. So it's literally like more than a trifecta at this point. So,
oh my God. So you're using your credit, you're using all this money, you're leaving money in the deal just to lose money per month.
And so I know there's a lot of people out there that teach this. They are really big names in the communities or socials, but it's not the best way, and it's certainly not the only way, and not a way you're going to hear about over here.
Well, I'll tell you what, you could
hear what not to do.
You could have a big name, have a small name, doesn't matter. What matters to me is your P&L statements. And you could say, I own all of these doors. I know people who own 50 doors who are dead broke, who are losing money. And I'm not picking on them. These are some people I know, I care about them.
Right.
But when you see the shiny thing, and I own all these properties, or I own 13 million in real estate, well, maybe it's worth 10 and you owe 13. Well, then that's not good, right? Or whatever. Right. Or you have 13 million, but you owe 15 on it. That's not right where you want to be.
Yeah. So stay focused. Don't get shiny object syndrome, and just go look for the people that need the help. Start with the single family homes. There's nothing wrong with that. You can grow wealth with single family homes. I see that happening now too, that you won't become rich if you are just buying single family homes.
Happened to us.
But either way, I think it's funny, but watch who you listen to, and then just be mindful of the choices that you're making, because today's market, it is funky. Pay attention, get around people who know it, who've been in it, who are not just investing there for a little while, but maybe have lived here for some time too. Yeah. So some advice, some positive things that you can do that will help you and your business is go to the meetups. Yeah.
Go to your local RIA meetups. Go to the experts. Talk to them. I'm with all due respect, I'm saying this, but when you go to the RIA and you're meeting the old timers who've been doing it for a long time, and you're hearing all of these things of what they've learned and what they've done and have accomplished, and all the things they say, well, watch out for this. That to me was so valuable, right? Especially some of these people where they pull up in the pickup truck and they wear just a normal shirt, and then you talk to them and they own all of these properties, and they're like, yeah, I don't owe any debt. I own all of this. And like, you would walk right by him at the grocery store. You would never think twice that this person sitting next to you is worth so much money. So how do I find these people? I go to the real estate meetups. I go to the local RIA meetups.
Such a gem that you shared too. Yeah. Like I feel like it's almost a blessing and a curse to have socials and all the shiny stuff. But like, yeah, like go find the old timers that have been doing this so long, and they'll open right up and tell you.
And they're usually not even on social media.
They're not going to hold back either. They're going to be like, they'll raise their hand and tell you how it is.
Yeah. And so to me, that's my crowd. Those are my people. I love them. I learn a lot from them. I learn a lot from people of all ages and shapes, sizes, everything. And I think it's just a great, wonderful thing is just to surround yourself with people who are doing the business, actively doing the business, been doing it for some time, have a proven track record, learn from what's working and what doesn't work, and make smart moves. And the last but not least, my coach would always tell me, you can't lose big checks if you don't write big checks. So once again, learn how to buy real estate by leveraging paper and your mind, and not have to leverage your dollars. Okay. And if you could do this wisely, you can grow an empire that's built a fortress around you and your family that is going to be able to stand the test of time.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to build wealth and you're going to do that in the future, for me, real estate is one of the safest bets, because no matter what, people are always going to need a place to live. There's other industries that might come or go or get taken over by AI, but you're still going to need a roof over your head. So I love real estate.
Well, we all know you do.
Aww.
So if you love real estate too, then make sure you come join us over in our Facebook group, Creative Finance Playbook with Jen and Joe. It is an open community where we share our deals, wins. Our clients are constantly in there sharing all the things that they're up to. So we'd love to have you over there. We'll make sure that the link is in the notes here below, so you can just come on over.
Babe, tell them about my free training.
Oh, goodness. Yes. Every month, Joe will be sharing his heart for real estate for 5 hours. So that information will be below too for the next sign up. Make sure you come and hang out with us. We have some special guests coming, and there's always something to talk about when it comes to real estate.
Always. So until next time, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.